to honor the true meaning of Juneteenth, our entire administration is continuing to charge forward to literally redeem the soul of America. As the past few years remind us, our freedoms have been put at risk by racism that's still too powerful a force. You know, I was a kid in the civil rights movement. And I used to think, I honestly believed that you could defeat hate. But hate only hides. It hides under the rocks. And when given oxygen, just a little oxygen, it comes roaring back out again. And we have to stand up and deny it the oxygen. So Juneteenth, as a federal holiday, is meant to breathe a new life into the very essence of America. Choosing to remember history, not erase it. To read books, not ban them. No matter how hard some people try.
That is good commentary from Joe Biden. Of course, he's also the president, so in theory, doing stuff is good in addition to saying stuff. But the things that he said are good. It's important that people, know about the history of Juneteenth, know why it's significant. In fact, he was joined not only by the vice president there, but also by Opal Lee, a 96-year-old activist whose advocacy helped to establish Juneteenth as the national holiday that it is right now. If you're not familiar with it, although every year that we say that, I start to think, but shouldn't people be at this point? But not everybody knows. It commemorates the day back in 1865 after the Confederate States had surrendered to end the Civil War, when a Union general arrived in Texas to inform a group of enslaved African Americans of their freedom under the Emancipation Proclamation. So that's all good. While that was running, Fox News decided to acknowledge that the president was speaking, but only so they could do this. Putting up a lower third that says, wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested. His political rival, by the way, who rose to prominence in American right-wing politics by spreading racist conspiracy theories about the citizenship, I suppose, the birth certificate of Barack Obama, just to provide a little bit of linkage to the whole racism and hate thing. JR, what do you think?
This is one of those things. Look, we celebrate and talk about how far we've come in this country. And many folks who say that are ones that are upset about that. So when it comes to something like celebrating Juneteenth, making it a national holiday, they also push back against that. Back in, I think it was in the 90s, they pushed back against MLK being a holiday as well. They want you to forget that stuff. Every time there's some kind of commemoration of Black Americans, and we're celebrating any kinds of change, approach to progress, equality, that's another bad word. It has to be covered with many folks on one particular side of the political aisle saying, hell no, not in my country, that's un-American. If you're happy about how far we've come in this country, Juneteenth should be a holiday. And all of these folks who say they're about how far we've come and how great of a nation we are, that should be the first thing you're talking about. It should not be embarrassing to say we were a country that enslaved people and they helped build the entire basis for our economic nature of our country. If you've gotten past that, you should be trying to shout it from the rooftops about how far you've come. Instead, we try to suppress it. Why is that?
Yeah, you would think, like, if your goal was to convince people that there's no racism, there hasn't been in decades or whatever, that you would be like talking up these sorts of things, like, hey, look at this amazing thing that we did. Let's recognize this moment when we conquered racism for the last time. Like, they'd be lying about it, but no, they're super defensive, which definitely says more than perhaps they intend it to. And we've been talking about the continued presence of racism. I don't think that for reasonable people, you need to be persuaded that it's still a problem. But just in case, I want to point you to Mount Sterling. This is Kentucky. There are flyers from a local Ku Klux Klan chapter that's promoting a neighborhood watch. And I personally think that a neighborhood watch, it's kind of an old timey thing, but I think in some cases a neighborhood watch is a good thing. For instance, I would love to have my neighborhood watch out for the presence of the Ku Klux Klan, and if they see any evidence of it, definitely warn people. But anyway, they put this up. They sprung for the color printing, which is interesting, saying you can sleep sound tonight, the Klan is awake. Hey, Klan. Careful there, you came dangerously close to calling yourselves woke, and we wouldn't want that. Anyway, over 92% of the residents of Mount Sterling are white, and local officials and law enforcement hopefully none of whom are members of the branch of the Klan, are saying that they're taking this very seriously. They're trying to identify the individuals who put them up, but so far it does not appear that they have any leads.
It's about time to come to realization when you keep denying what it is that we're talking about progress for and acknowledging it and actually maybe embracing it and being part of it, these things wouldn't happen as much. But when you don't, this is what we get. It's 2 + 2.
100%. By the way, this is like, 92% white area or whatever. But you can find this all over. I will say from my own personal experience. I live in Inglewood, California, and I woke up one day to find that every house on my street had this like bag with some rocks in it and anti-Semitic literature, just attacking Jewish people and stuff like that, that clearly someone had been throwing out of their car or whatever as they drive around. So that's in like the heart of LA, supposedly lib place or whatever. But we see stuff like this, and these reports of, like KKK specific or other racist organizations, neo-Nazis and stuff like that. We've seen this from all over the place, man, all over the country. It's still very much a thing. They feel emboldened by the fact that more and more people in politics and in their podcasts and on TV and broadcasting on streaming seem to be much more in favor of this sort of thing. It used to be niche, it used to be radical and fringe, but not necessarily anymore.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.